Book of Heaven, Volume 20, Part 13. December 12th, 1926. Lament of Jesus in his Passion, in seeing his garments being divided, and lots drawn for his tunic. How Adam, before sinning, was clothed with light, and as he sinned, he felt the need to cover himself. I was doing my usual acts in the supreme Fiat, and my adored Jesus came out from within my interior and told me, "My daughter, in my passion, there is a lament of mine that came out with immense sorrow from the depth of my tormented heart. They divided my garments and drew lots for my tunic. How painful it was for me to see my garments being divided among my very executioners, and my tunic being gambled away. It was the only object I possessed, given to me with so much love by my sorrowful mamma. And now they not only stripped me of it, but they made of it a game. But do you know who pierced me the most? In those garments, Adam became present to me, clothed with the garment of innocence, and covered with the indivisible tunic of my supreme will. In creating him, the uncreated wisdom acted as more than a most loving mother. More than with a tunic, it clothed him with the unending light of my will, a garment that is not subject to being either disarranged, or divided, or consumed. A garment that was to serve man, in order to preserve the image of his Creator, and the gifts received from him, and that was to render him admirable and holy in all his things. Not only this, but it covered him with the overgarment of innocence. And Adam, in Eden, with his passions, divided the garments of innocence, and he gambled away the tunic of my will, a garment that is incomparable and of radiant light. What Adam did in Eden was repeated under my eyes on Mount Calvary. In seeing my garments being divided and my tunic gambled away, symbol of the royal garment given to man, my sorrow was so intense that I made of it a lament. It became present to me when creatures in doing their own will make a game of mine, and the so many times in which they divide the garment of innocence with their passions. All goods are enclosed in man by virtue of this royal garment of the divine will. Once this is gambled away, he remains uncovered. He loses all goods, because he lacks the garment that kept them enclosed within himself. So, among the many evils that creatures do by doing their own will, they add the irreparable evil of gambling away the royal garment of my will, a garment that cannot be substituted with any other garment. After this, my sweet Jesus showed me himself, placing my little soul inside a sun. And with his holy hands, he held me still within that light. That was such that, as it covered me completely, inside and out, I could not see, nor was I able to see anything but light. And my adored good added, "My daughter, in creating man, the divinity placed him inside the Son of the divine will, and all creatures in him. This Son served as garment not only for his soul, but its rays were such as to cover also his body, in such a way as to serve as more than a garment for him, rendering him so adorned and beautiful that neither kings nor emperors have ever appeared so adorned as Adam appeared, with this garment of most refulgent light. Those who say that before sinning Adam went naked are wrong. False. False. If all things created by us are all adorned and clothed, he who was our jewel, the purpose for which all things were created, was he not to have the most beautiful garment and the most beautiful ornament of all? So to him befitted the beautiful garment of the light of the Son of our will. And since he possessed this garment of light, he had no need of material garments in order to cover himself. As he withdrew from the divine Fiat, so did light withdraw from his soul and from his body. He lost his beautiful garment, and in seeing himself no longer surrounded with light, he felt naked. Feeling ashamed in seeing that he was the only one to be naked in the midst of all created things, he felt the need to cover himself, and he made use of superfluous things, created things, to cover his nakedness. This is so true that after my highest sorrow of seeing my garments divided and my tunic gambled away, as my humanity rose again, I took no other garments, but I clothed myself with the most refulgent garment of the Son of my supreme will. That was the same garment as the one that Adam possessed when he was created, because in order to open heaven, my humanity was to wear the garment of the light of the Son of my supreme will, a royal garment. And as it gave me the insignia of king and dominion into my hands, I opened heaven to all the redeemed ones, and presenting myself before my celestial Father, I offered him the garments of his will, whole and beautiful, with which my humanity was covered, so as to make him recognize all the redeemed ones as our children. So, while it is life, at the same time, my will is the true garment of the creation of the creature, and therefore it holds all rights over her. But how much do they not do to escape from within this light? Therefore, be still in the sun of the eternal Fiat, and I shall help you to maintain yourself in this light. On hearing this, I said to him, "My Jesus and my all, how is this? If Adam in the state of innocence had no need of garments, because the light of your will was more than garment, the sovereign queen, however, possessed your will as whole, and you yourself were your will itself. Yet neither the celestial mamma nor yourself wore the garments of light, and both of you made use of material garments to cover yourselves. How is this?" And Jesus continued saying, "My daughter, both my mamma and I came to set fraternal bonds with creatures. We came to raise decayed humanity, and therefore to take up the miseries and humiliations into which it had fallen, in order to expiate for them at the cost of our lives. Had they seen us clothed with light, who would have dared to approach us and to deal with us? And in the course of my passion, who would have dared to touch me? The light of the sun of my will would have blinded them and crushed them to the ground. Therefore, I had to make a greater miracle, hiding this light within the veil of my humanity, and appearing as one of them, because it represented not Adam innocent, but Adam fallen. And so I was to subject myself to all of his evils, taking them upon myself as if they were my own, in order to expiate for them before divine justice. But when I rose again from death, representing Adam innocent, the new Adam, I ceased the miracle of keeping the garments of the refulgent sun of my will hidden within the veil of my humanity, and I remained clothed with most pure light. And with this royal and dazzling garment, I made my entrance into my fatherland, leaving the doors open that had remained closed up to that point, so as to let all of those who had followed me enter. Therefore, by not doing our will, there is no good that one does not lose, and there is no evil that one does not acquire. December 15th, 1926. The Little Note of Love. How each act of the will of God, done by the creature, is one more act of beatitude. I was continuing to make my round in the creation, in order to follow the supreme will in all created things. But while I was doing this, I thought in my mind, what good do I do? What glory do I give to this adorable Fiat by going through all created things, as though in review, to place in them even just one little I love you of mine? Who knows whether this might not be a waste of time that I do? Now, while I was thinking of this, my sweet Jesus moved in my interior and told me, "My daughter, what are you saying? With my will, one never wastes time. On the contrary, by following it, one gains the eternal time. Now, you must know that each created thing contains a delight, one distinct from the other. And these delights were placed by us, and were to serve us to delight ourselves and the creature. Now, in each created thing runs our love, and as you go through them, you make the little note of your love run. Don't you want, then, in the face of so much love of ours, to place your little notes, your dots, your commas, your little strings that say love, and harmonizing with our love, form the delight wanted by us for ourselves and for you? Only when there is company, then is a delight enjoyed more. Isolation makes the enjoyment die. So, the company you give us, by praying your round in the creation, makes us remember of our many delights that were placed by us in each created thing. It makes us live through our enjoyments again. And while you delight us, we delight you. And besides, perhaps you too want to leave our will isolated? No, it is befitting for the little daughter never to leave her mother alone, and to remain always on her knees, to follow her in all her acts. Then, after this, my poor mind was swimming in the immense sea of the eternal Fiat, and my lovable Jesus added, "My daughter, among the many qualities and properties that my will contains, it contains an act of beatitude that is never interrupted. And as many acts as the soul does in it, so many distinct acts of beatitude does she take into her soul. So, the more acts she does in this Fiat, the more she becomes the owner, and forms a greater capital of these beatitudes within herself, which give her highest peace on earth. And in heaven she shall feel all the effects and the enjoyments of these beatitudes that have formed within her. See, it is as though natural. While you are on earth, my will in heaven releases from itself an act ever new of infinite beatitude. Now, who takes this new act that never ceases? The saints, the angels, who live of divine will in heaven. However, it is not fair that the one who is in the exile and lives in my will loses all these acts of beatitude. Rather, with justice they are placed, as though in reserve within her soul, so that when she departs for her celestial fatherland, she may enjoy them all together, to catch up with others in receiving that new act of beatitude that is never interrupted. Do you see, then, what it means to do one more act, or one act less, in my will? It is to have as many more acts of beatitude, for as many more times as one has done my will, and to lose them, for as many times as she has done her own. And she takes not only many acts of beatitude, but many acts of sanctity, of divine science, many distinct acts of beauty, of love, for as many times as she has done my will. And if she has been always in my eternal fiat, she shall have within herself the sanctity that resembles her Creator. Oh, how beautiful she shall be! In heaven, the echo of our beatitudes, the echo of our sanctity, the echo of our love, shall be heard in this fortunate creature. In sum, she has been our echo on earth, and she shall be our echo in the celestial fatherland. December 19th, 1926. How, in the creation, the divinity bilocated its will. The nature of the divine will is happiness. How it constituted itself act of everything. The possession it wants to give to the creature. I continued in my state of abandonment in the supreme volition, and while I was praying my round, with my mind in the whole creation, to follow it in all created things, and make my will one with its own, so as to form one single act with its own, my always lovable Jesus, making me pause, told me, "My daughter, in issuing the creation, the divinity bilocated its will, and one remained within us for our regime, joy, happiness, contentments, and innumerable and infinite beatitudes that we possess, because our will has the first place in all our acts. The other bilocated will of ours came out from us into creation, to give us also externally divine honors and glory, and innumerable happinesses and joys. In fact, our will possesses joys, happinesses, and beatitudes as its own qualities. This is its nature. And if it did not release from itself these innumerable beatitudes and contentments that it possesses, it would be for it something against its own nature. Now, the Supreme Majesty, by issuing our bilocated will into the whole creation, so that it might be constituted life and act of each created thing, issued from itself innumerable riches, countless beatitudes and joys, that only the power of the eternal Fiat could preserve, maintaining their regime, so that they would never lose their integrity and beauty. Now, while all these properties issued by us glorified us, giving us the glory of as many continuous and divine acts, for as many created things as came out to light, they were established as properties of creatures, who, unifying their wills with ours, were to have their act in each act of our will, in such a way that just as we were to have the divine act of our will in each created thing, we were to have the act of the creature transfused, as if they were one alone. With this, she would come to know its riches. By knowing them, she would love them, and she would acquire the right to possess them. How many divine acts does my supreme will not do in each created thing? And the creature has not even the most remote knowledge of these acts. And if she does not know them, how can she love them and possess them, if they are unknown to her? So, all the riches, the happinesses, the divine acts present in the whole creation are inactive and lifeless for creatures. And if they receive anything at all, it is not as property, but as the effect of the supreme goodness that always gives of its own. It gives as alms also to those who have no right of possession. Others, then, take them as usurpations. In fact, in order to possess these goods that the Celestial Father put out in the creation, the creature must make her way. She must elevate herself to union with that divine will, in order to work together with it, do the same acts, know them in order to do them, so as to be able to say, "What it does, I do." With this, she acquires the right of possession in all the acts of this supreme will. And when two wills form one single will, mine and yours no longer exist. Rather, by right, what is mine is yours, and what is yours is mine. And so, this is the reason why my supreme will calls you, awaits you in each created thing, to make known to you the riches that are in it, to make you repeat its divine acts together with it, and to give you the right of possession. You yourself become its own property. You remain dissolved within its immense riches, and within its very acts. And oh, how the divine Fiat enjoys making you the owner of its immense riches. Its desire of constituting its heiresses is so great that it feels twice as happy when it sees the one who knows its possessions and makes its divine act her own. So much so, that even though it saw that man, by withdrawing from its will, lost his way to reach the possession of its dominions, it did not stop, but in the excess of its love and of its long sorrow of seeing its riches inactive for the good of creatures, as soon as the eternal Word clothed himself with human flesh, it constituted itself life of each of his acts, so as to form more goods for them, powerful aids and effective remedies, more within the reach of decayed humanity, so as to realize the purpose of making them possess what was issued in creation. There is nothing that comes from us that does not have this purpose, that the creature and everything return into our will. If it were not so, we would render ourselves extraneous to our own works. So, creation, redemption, my daughter, have the primary purpose that everything be our will, in heaven and on earth. Therefore, it flows everywhere. It is present in every place to make everything its own and to give everything that belongs to it. Therefore, be attentive in following our works. Satisfy this desire, so insistent, of my supreme will, that wants those who possess its goods. You have reached the end of the Book of Heaven, Volume 20, Part 13. Fiat.